edition, but we are here. Tomlin, I don't know if this is coach of the year. This might be his best coaching job. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I would have to agree with that because, boy, he's overcome a lot this year to get to this point. And even though we may be, even if we're the last rated team, and which would be number 14, there's 32 NFL teams. Top 14, based on where we've started and where we ended, that's a pretty damn good job.
It is. Did you think that the other game was going to tie, that the Raiders and Chargers was going to tie, and that we went through that?
For once in my not even for a second did I foresee that probability. Not for, and when I looked up and I'm like, what is this crazy? I mean, so the last two games that we had interest in, which was Ben Roethlisberger's last high field appearance, and that game, which both of those led to this playoff, were unbelievable games that couldn't have been scripted any better.
I heard a stat and I saw something. It's actually a factoid. It is and now there's an expansion of the playoffs for sure. There's one more team in each conference. There's also division games right until the very end. But this is the first time in NFL history that the playoffs were not decided until the very last play of the regular season. Normally you could put up that graphic. These teams are in, those teams are in. It took till the literal very last play of the regular season to decide the playoffs. That's pretty wild.
It's pretty wild, but it's interesting, and I didn't really think about it until you just said that. But when I watched Roger Goodell on with the Mannings, I think it was last week, right? And, we see this. I see it. I watch it. I'm a fan, but didn't really try to intellectualize it at all. But he made the statement about, the structure of the schedule and how they have focused on getting down to making them division games towards the end of the year to make it more exciting. I never really thought that there was a plan to that with that goal in mind, but it makes sense. And especially after that, what you just said, it's never happened before. So, Roger Goodell's looking pretty darn smart.
Well, you know what else he is? You saw him. He was in his basement. He was in his nice man cave. And you saw right here, he had a couch right here. He was sitting there. He had a little refrigerator with some drinks. Off camera, what you couldn't see was a gigantic bank vault that looked like Fort Knox, where he stored all his money because of that, Richard.
I don't know if I might be crazy, but I think he's a $40 to $50 million a year guy. But look at the revenue. But look at the revenue the man generates for the NFL.
I'm a fan of Roger Goodell. He's kept labor peace. He has made the television product great, and he has captured a day of our existence for all of America. I'm a big fan of him as a businessman. He gets a lot of heat. I like him.
Yeah, me too. I like him too. So we'll go back to the Mike Tomlin. Man, I've got so many things to talk about. You got Mike Tomlin, you got Ben Roethlisberger. We've got the guy that I want to succeed, Mason Rudolph. Kidding. That was a joke. It was a really bad joke. So no, I don't want that. But so there's so many things to talk about. I love the Mike Tomlin tease about he dozed off watching the playoff game. I love that.
Okay, we got to talk about it.
Okay.
Do you think that this is a game where Mike Tomlin's future this year is on the line? The two teams are playing. I get that. It's live football. Mike Tomlin, to me, crazy like a fox, and I love him in this way. He simply said he dozed off, so he didn't have to answer what he would do in that situation. I am convinced of it. It's okay to have a little Pinocchio in you from time to time, and he did right there.
I would go against that. I would say opposite. Really? Now, that's you and I. Well, why wouldn't he want to say it was over? Mike Tomlin, to me, is just too real, too organic. He would tell you exactly the truth. And I think the truth is even funny. But I love that the big issue that everybody's made of it. Really, I don't think we would have kicked the field goal. I don't. I think we would have taken a knee and it would have been over. And I don't know why they did. But again, it's all about the W's, right? There's no second place. A win is a win. A tie is a loss. The end.
Absolutely. I'm with you. Kick it. I think you kick it against your rival. You try to keep them out. And that was the difference between going to Kansas City or going to Cincinnati. So there's a big difference in kicking that field goal if you're the Raiders, for sure.
Right.
So I don't know. I think he may have been fibbing a little just because he is so nuts and so detail oriented. He didn't want to answer that question in the microscopic chance that ever comes up in his career. That's just how I feel about it, honestly. All right, you said something about Ben. This interests me. We're still, no matter how this ends, whether it ends on Sunday night as there's going to be 40 inches of snow here in Western Pennsylvania and everybody's going to be tucked into the living room or whatever, and we're watching the game, whether it ends late Sunday night or they win, we go on to live for another week. The end of Ben's days are coming. So you decided on what the plan is because there's a lot of people out there. There's low risk people like Mason Rudolph. There's high risk people like
Actually, Mason Rudolph is really a high risk.
he's low risk in terms of you're not going to expect much. There's high risk people like the quarterback in Houston, where people would say there's baggage there, but that might be your best option.
I love him. I loved him. I loved him before he got in trouble, by the way. But I did. I loved him because when the minute that he expressed his dissatisfaction with where he was, I was all over that. I thought, man, I just wish we could go after this guy. So I love him. So count him in my asset column. I love him.
Would the city be okay? Would the fan base warm to someone, or would it have to
100%.
be all meted out legally?
100%. No, 100%. No, 100% in my opinion. How about you? Your opinion?
I agree with you. I think that he'd be treated like the city would not like him if he threw 3 interceptions. The city would love him
Absolutely.
if he threw 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, absolutely.
It
Good
looks like a
analogy.
football player.
Good analogy. Okay, who's next? How about Aaron Rodgers? Any
It's
chance?
a great pipe dream, but it just would cost too much to get him, I think. And also,
Why would
I
he
think
leave?
I don't know how much longer he wants to be in Green Bay. I
Yeah,
think
but
that he
why? Why
wants.
would he leave? He took the receiver. What's the receiver he took with him? That
Oh, he gets to handpick his football team, and
Yeah, so why
also
would he? He's done that. He's so entrenched there. Why would he think about even leaving? Why? It's not going to be money because they'll pay him whatever he wants.
he's also the thing that's crazy to me too. He publicly ridiculed the general manager, and everybody had his back, and he didn't get any trouble. He makes fun of his bosses publicly. I agree with you. Why would he leave? But it seems like it's destined for a divorce of some sort. But I don't know. You know what? You bring up a good point. Maybe he's going
I
to be
don't think
there.
so. I don't think so. And then let's go Russell Wilson.
Doesn't want to be here, and I think his wife needs a more metropolitan city than Pittsburgh.
I think he's average and mediocre at best anyway.
Yes.
I don't think he would post very different results than a Mason Rudolph. I really don't.
How about if you root for the Raiders to lose, thus they'd want to get rid of Carr. He's got a year left on his contract. That
I'm
could
not a
be a
car
guy.
guy either.
Well, you kind of are a car guy,
I'm a
but
car
you're
guy.
just not a car guy.
I'm
Yes.
a car dealer, but
Uh,
I'm not a Las Vegas car dude, man. I'm
um,
not. Nope.
You're the guy who's anti Mason Rudolph.
Yes.
Not offering a lot of other solutions here, Richard.
I like the Houston guy a lot.
Mariota too.
I
What
like the
about
draft.
Mariota?
I like the draft. If there's somebody in the draft, I like that. But the problem is, to me, the draft would have been a great way. Of course, not last year because you got Najee. But the draft is like a little bit behind because we would have wanted, at least I would have wanted, a draft choice to be under Ben for a while. And so that would, if Mason Rudolph were a different guy, then you have your solution already. He just didn't live up to what he could be or what we thought he was.
The thought in the template of Mason Rudolph is absolutely perfect. He's just not a good enough football player.
He's
That's the
not.
long and short of it.
Yeah.
This does get into a bit of a quandary. I think that the route you take. What about? Let me throw one at you here. Are you ready? What about if? And I know what the Browns have said. What about Baker
No.
Mayfield?
No. No, no, no,
All right. Not
no,
a winner
no,
for you
no, 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 no. I mean,
either.
some of his passes that I saw him throw against the Steelers, I mean, you know, no.
No.
And a guy like Kenny Pickett isn't my answer either. In the past 5 years, how many good years has he had? He's had one, right?
There's a lot of truth to that. A lot of that's
So
what I think he might be a pretty good NFL quarterback. A lot of people say last
I
year at
think he
this time they were wondering if he'd even be a good college quarterback.
and but I loved him. If you could base it, if his last 5 years were the same as this year, I love him. I love everything about him. I love his physicality. I love his arm. His arm is like, oh my god. But there is one guy that if he were ready, and I don't know yet, but Phil Jurkovec, I think is the guy. I really do.
That's why I think it pays the Steelers. Maybe Mason Rudolph's that bridge quarterback. He gets through 1 year and then they draft Jurkovec.
I
Use
don't know how
draft
you have a
capital.
bridge, but I don't know how you go into an NFL season with thinking that you have a bridge quarterback. I don't think that we want to win every year. We want a Super Bowl every year. And then that comes back to Kevin Colbert. So Kevin Colbert says, at least according to local media sources, that he is going to stay through the draft and then retire. I don't know if that's true. I know Kevin. I like Kevin. I love Kevin. We're friends, but he doesn't confide in me on his career choices. But I don't know. Is that true?
I would bet on that happening. I would think that he's going to be done. But here's the deal. I don't know how much of a impact he's going to have on this draft if he's going to want to have his hands on it, knowing that he's not going to see the rewards or not going to be. He doesn't want to be responsible for the meal if he doesn't want to cook it and then be responsible for how it's eaten.
I don't think Kevin Colbert has that kind of a mentality. I think Kevin Colbert wants to be here through the draft, if that were true, because he thinks he would be helping the Roonies and doing the right thing for this franchise. That would be his motivation, not because of wins or losses, nothing else, because he has that integrity, and the Roonies have that integrity, and together they have that relationship. So if he wants to stay through the draft, it to me is purely for unselfish reasons.
They need to draft offensive line, that's for sure. There was something else you said. You said Ben and Tomlin, and then you had one more thing you wanted to talk about. Was it this playoff game? Is that where we are now?
Well, we
Oh,
can talk about that, but then Ben said, "Just go out and have fun. Just go out and just have fun."
okay. This is a topic right here, and I'm glad you touched on it. Passive aggressive. Nobody gives us a chance, Ben. I think it's a big play act, and it's not serious. Did you take that as serious?
Not at all. Not at all. He's a competitor. Ben is a competitor. There's not a chance in the world I took that as serious. What it tells me is he's going to go out and he's going to go balls to the wall. And if Matt Canada sends in a play he doesn't like, he's checking it down and he's going to do whatever he wants to do. I think that was a message for himself more than anybody else. Let me just go out, do what I want to do. I will have fun and we'll win. And I don't think they're going to lose.
Whoa.
Yep. Don't think they're going to lose.
That lends us right to our prediction then. You think the Steelers will win this game outright?
I do. 100%. I do.
I think I don't know if they'll win this football game. But I'll tell you this, and I've said this all week. I think it's in Kansas City's best interest to make sure if they beat the Steelers, they kill them early. That they don't let them hang around. If Kansas City does not get up by 2 touchdowns in the first half, I don't think they'll win. Like
Listen, I'm going to tell you, just watch TJ Watt. He's going to just absolutely decimate. And you know what? I'm not a Patrick Mahomes fan. You know that from prior.
You've never been. You think he's been overpaid? You think he's overblown? All of that.
I do. I think that he can be rattled also. And I think a guy coming off the edge like TJ Watt, and then with Cam coming up the middle, I think they can push that pocket, man. I really do. And I think that it's really going to be a great game. Not sure about this. Is Joe Hayden playing?
No, probably not. Limited snaps he's going to play, much like he did last week.
Yeah.
But
who else is out?
well, the big story right now has to be you have to worry about Najee Harris's arm. Like how much will he be limited? How much will it hurt him? If he can only function with one arm, how tough is that? I need to see the Steelers' first possession. See, are they comporting themselves and going about their business in regular form, or are they just having Najee out there as kind of a decoy? I can't come to a conclusion until then, because he's going to have a uniform on, but is he really himself?
So what would it tell you? Say they come out and they run the ball, run, pass, punt. What would that tell you?
He's okay. If they throw 3 passes and stay away from him, or they fake to him and he's a decoy, then I'd be really scared that he's just out there to give the look that he's okay.
See, because now what I would do then is I'd come out first possession, I'd pass, punt, and then you would think that Najee isn't ready to go, and then I would come back the next series and run.
You're like that guy in pool that misses the first couple shots, and you sucker them in, and then before you know it, it's 3 hours later, and you have everybody's money in the bar.
Absolutely. But that's why I'm telling you, they're not going to lose. They're just not going to lose. If you're a betting man, bet Steelers.
Richard's official prediction: the Steelers won't lose. I will say this, and I know this is hedging a bet. The Steelers will win this game by a field goal in a very close game, or they'll get blown out. There is no middle ground for me.
You know what? Get out of my head. I was going to say the same thing.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was. I was going to say if they don't win, they're going to get blown out.
It's going to be either 38-6, or they're going to win this football game 21-20. Like
Ben Roethlisberger's not going out with 6 points. Ain't happening.
Okay.
Ain't
all
happening.
Right. Well,
so let's go down a little bit further, because what do we have here? Because nobody really wants to hear me talk this long. But let's just ask really quick. Coaching staff, what happens? So Butler, we already know he's going to be gone because he's announced that he's going to retire in the beginning of the year, right? Do you think that happens?
I don't know if he will or not, but I think he'll be given a different role within the organization, like a defensive coach emeritus, much like John Mitchell was. Like one of those hangs around the organization, but he won't be defensive coordinator. Matt Canada is the interesting one for me. I know what's going to happen. I feel like I know in my heart what's going to happen. They're going to say this: whoa, we made the playoffs. There's justification. Whoa, Ben's retiring, so there's going to be a different quarterback. And here's the 2 biggest parts. We have a very young, impressionable running back and a very young, impressionable tight end on top of a new quarterback coming in. We don't want a revolving door at offensive coordinator. Let's just give the guy another shot. And I think Matt Canada will be back.
Plus, he has a 2-year contract.
Yes, there's that.
So yeah, and I don't disagree with that, but there's kind of so let me just digress just for a quick second, because
that's what'll happen.
But we all talk. You're right. I think, and so what happens is, we talk about Ben, and I'm not slamming Ben, but we talk about Ben and how wonderful he is in that last 2 minutes, and look, he came out and he won that game. But man, he put us in that position. That was a horrible game. That was a horrible performance by Ben. And then why? It's a switch that flips. Then he comes out and he's like, what the Godfather used to say? Remember the movie, The Godfather? Godfather used to say, they used to say about him, he solves the problems that he created, right? And that's what made it. He would create the problems on purpose, and then he could be the savior. Now, not that Ben did it on purpose, but, so you look at that and you think, wait, yes, it was wonderful in the last 3 minutes, but my heavens, the first 3 quarters were horrendous. So there's that.
I don't disagree with you. I think his inability to throw the football deep at all caused the problems that the Steelers were in late in that football game against the Ravens. That's for sure. There's no question about it.
I would hold somebody accountable to tell me why the joke of you and I talking, the joke of Snoop Dogg, the joke of the Mannings, the joke of the announcers that say, explain to me the 2 yards and out, 2 and out. It's 3rd down and 5. We're 2 and out. Why? Somebody's going to have to tell me that.
The last time they played Kansas City, Tony Romo talked about it the whole game. That's all he talked about.
Is that, I thought I couldn't remember what game that was. Yeah. And Tony Romo to me is very, very bright quarterback. And I love the fact that it's unfiltered. They talk about that. And, Peyton Manning to me is one of the smartest quarterbacks to ever play because he was always the most prepared, right? What he might have not had in some other areas, nobody could outwork Peyton Manning and or outanalyze. And he said it. So
At some point, you're the
somebody,
common denominator. It's not just people talking about it, and that's where the Steelers are.
and I don't know if that's customized to abilities, but then I watch and I think, wait, how does he miss a 5-yard pass? How do you miss that? I mean, just and I don't know because a lot of times I'd see him talking to the receiver or the running back, and I don't know if it was missed blown routes. I don't know what it was, but it sure didn't look pretty.
I guess I'll sum it up and end with this. At the end of Ben days, again, whether it's next week or a month from now, we may long for Ben again.
Oh, we will.
I'm ready to find out if that's the case.
Oh no, we will. Now, how often do you get a franchise quarterback? 2 Super Bowls, regardless of everything else, even if it should have been 5. But a franchise quarterback, 18 years, one team, it doesn't happen a lot. I mean, when's the last time we had that?
Anymore? But he's not that anymore.
When did we have that?
We've only had it now, but he's not that anymore.
No, he's not. But how do you replace that?
It's going to be tough, but at some point you have to come to the reality. It's time to try to replace that. He can't be that again.
Yeah, everybody knows that. I just thought it would have been realized sooner.
I agree, and you're picking him to win on Sunday.
I am, because now it is balls out, balls to the wall. It's all here. Put it all out there. One game, doesn't matter. You did a great thing. You got to the playoffs. You proved your point. Now to his point, that message was for him. Now he's going to go out and have fun.
There we go. There it is. Richard picks him to win. I pick the Steelers maybe to win or get blown out. So there it is. Stay safe. Tons of snow. People are going to be bombarded. 70 inches of snow on Sunday. Makes for perfect sitting around and watching football.